If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about the team. Wait.
And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like the show. Follow us on Facebook. Retweet and follow us on Twitter. And over on the YouTube page, you should all head over to the YouTube page to watch the show because that's where you can get your comments, thoughts, and concerns in. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you do me a favor. Like the video and give us a subscribe right there. It's just two buttons right at the bottom of the page. Click that thumb. Click that subscribe button. Help us continue to grow the DSM Media YouTube page. Real quick before we get started today, Phil Stifle here, your host at Bearded Knowledge, Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651 next to me here. We will be joined very shortly by our special guest today, Jack Fritz, WIP. Super excited to have him on to talk Phillies. But real quick, Jason, let's do a special. We wished you a happy birthday and embarrassed the hell out of you last week. It's the baby of DSM's birthday today. He'll be on the show with me tomorrow with you, but today is Cole's birthday. He's actually 20. He is no longer a teenager. So happy birthday to Cole. Big shout out to our man Cole.
Happy birthday, Cole.
Yeah, happy birthday, Cole. But again, head over to the YouTube page. Best way to get interactive, like these comments and examples that we've got here. So Jason, we're going to talk Phillies some more today, especially with Jack Fritz, since he's a big baseball guy there over at WIP. We're going to continue this conversation of Bryce Harper, and what the Phillies, like, what do they do now? And I started thinking we kind of tried to overreact a little bit yesterday and have a little fun with it. But, I was watching you on the Fired Up podcast last night, and I made the joke yesterday, but it really started to marinate in my head that we really shouldn't be. I know we're losing the reigning MVP, a guy that was going to contend for the MVP. And I know we got a really tough 9-game stretch here, but we do have $200 million of payroll still active and on the roster right now. It is honestly time for the rest of the guys, the JTs of the world, the Castellanoses of the world, the Kyle Schwarbers. I know he's having a great June, but no drop off in July. I mean, it is really up to the guys, the other big spending, big dollar guys to step up their game, is it not?
I mean, I think if you want to be honest, and look at it with an honest assessment and an honest analysis, we're not talking about Bryce Harper with a roster of the rest of the Pittsburgh Pirates here.
Exactly.
This is a bunch of guys that are decent baseball players. So it's not like we have we talk about the roster being flawed or the lineup. That's a different story, but the roster itself, the players on this team, we have guys that should be able to carry this team. And yes, you're not replacing Harper, nor will you ever replace Bryce Harper in the lineup. It's hard to replace a guy of that caliber, but you have the tools in place where you can actually, if you can tread water and still continue to gain some ground until Harper comes back, this team absolutely can make the playoffs, but it's up to them. There's no excuse. Like, they can't sit there and just be defeated. That will just, we know how that will end. That will end.
I got to cut you off there real quick, Jason. Our special guest joining us on the I Have No Sponsor hotline, the great Jack Fritz from WIP. Jack, thank you so much for waking up this morning and joining us on Trending in the AM.
Oh, it's all good, guys. Happy to be here. Honestly, Excited to watch the Phillies tonight. Let's see how they step up without Bryce.
Yeah, I got obviously that's the prevalent topic this morning, and it's been all weekend long. Before I actually ask you any of these questions, I gotta know. I don't know if you were watching the game Saturday night. I know it was a late game. I had just gotten home from a wedding. I was a little lubricated from the wedding, and the first thing I do is I sit on my couch. I turn the TV on, and literally within 5 minutes of turning the TV on, this happened. So you can assume what my reaction was after spending 5 hours at a wedding. And
you're like Michael Bourne. You and Michael Bourne had the same reaction.
No lie, I thought that was the most honest, great reaction I've ever heard of an announcer on TV. I loved it. What were you? If you were watching it live, what was your reaction to that?
Oh, it was deadly. I was, Bryce is obviously our guy, and I was watching. I was kind of sitting there, and it was so weird because they kind of zoomed in on the signs and they're moving in, and I was like, I just had a weird feeling. I did, and then the second later he gets hit, and my first thought was like, oh my god, he got hit in the face again. Yeah. Because then I was thinking about last year against the Cardinals or whatever, but it felt like Carson, honestly, for me at the beginning. Like it felt like Carson, where it's like, he goes into the end zone. And it wasn't as immediate. Like, Carson, they got in, he threw the touchdown to Alshon. And then I'll just never forget, like, he was walking, they zoomed in on his knee, and it wobbled in a way that a knee is definitely not supposed to wobble. They look like a noodle. So it reminded me of Carson. But then I got to be honest, I just had a weird feeling that they were going to be okay. I'm not super down. Obviously losing Bryce sucks. I don't want to lose Bryce because I thought he's on his way to possibly winning a back-to-back MVP, and seeing him really develop into our guy. I always thought it was tough for athletes from the outside to be Philly guys, but I would say that this last year and a half, it's like, wow, Bryce is actually possibly getting into the Utley, Rollins, Howard categories of being Phillies that didn't start here. So I thought about all of that, but then I thought the team's going to be okay. I think they're going to be fine. It's going to be tough. They're going to have to grind it out, but I think last year's team folds. I trust this team more than last year's team.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the Wentz situation because we spent a little bit of time yesterday comparing the two on the show, and I think it's different because the Wentz situation, it was what, week 13, 14. It was towards the end of the season, but this team, the one thing that this team has that the Eagles didn't have then. We still have you take Bryce Harper out of it. We still have a $200 million payroll. So it's like the conversation today that I'm trying to steer it to is, look, there's still plenty of star talented players that all they got to do is they just got to step up their game and help. Jason, right before you joined, used the word tread water and float and just kind of hang in there 4, 6, 7 weeks, whatever it may be. Are your thoughts in the same realm as that right there?
They are. And it's not even tread water for 6, 7 weeks. It's tread water for a month and then get to the trade deadline and go out and look to improve the baseball team. I mean, right now they're 4 games over 500. If they keep playing that level of baseball and they're heading to the trade deadline 4, 5, 6 games up, that gives Dave Dombrowski enough to believe in this baseball team to really go kind of improve. But I'm with you, Phil. I'm not throwing in a towel on this team. There's been too many examples in recent memory in baseball where teams have rallied around a player coming out. Whether it's Tatis the Padres this year, we all know about Acuna. Right now, the Braves are doing it without Albies. The Mets are doing it without DeGrom and Scherzer. So, there's been too many recent examples for me to completely throw in the towel because Bryce is out. And people will bring up, before he got hurt or before the game Sunday, they're 3-6 in games without Bryce. And my counter to that is yeah, but now they know Bryce isn't coming back. So, they didn't have the same level of kind of intensity that is needed when one of the star players is out. I think of two examples in Philly sports. I mean, we all remember 2007 when Utley broke his hand. Now, he was only out for a month, but they went out and got Tadahito Iguchi, and he really helped this team. So now I don't want them to wait a month to make a minor trade at the outfield position to find a move here. I think Dave Dombrowski needs to work the phones right now. I mean, Oscar Mercado, they picked up off waivers yesterday. More of a defensive first center fielder. Isn't going to make a big difference. But, there's bad teams out there that aren't going to turn around in the next month. It's on Dombrowski to go kind of find one of those Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, kind of under-the-radar moves that can help you out for a month. Because I don't think relying on Moniak, Vierling, Herrera, Mercado is really going to help them out. I think Vierling has shown me a little bit. Ozubal's been terrible for a month. We know how he is. He can get hot. He can be the worst hitter in baseball. Mickey, I don't trust you. I love Mick, but I can't say I fully am confident in that. So, I think that Dombrowski needs to go out and kind of make a move right now, but I can't throw in the towel. There's too much talent here. I think Schwarber has added a different element to this team that they haven't had in years past. We know what he's doing at the plate, but everything he's doing in the clubhouse, I think, has been a massive difference. He bought coffee for all the rookies yesterday. He's doing post-game toasts, like leading all of that and really trying to build a winning culture here. So, honestly, it sounds simple, but if Castellanos goes into the tank or goes off, it pretty much is going to determine the rest of the season. He is the big wild card here. If we can get the Castellanos that we've seen for, the last 5 years outside of the 2020, they have a shot here. But if we get the Castellanos we've seen the first half of the season, they got no shot.
No, it's so funny because when we're doing an interview, I'm taking notes and I'm thinking of what you're saying. It's like I have a thread of questions, but then you keep changing it. With your hand.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a lot of thoughts. It's a lot of thoughts about Bryce.
Has been riding so fast, 100 miles an hour the last 48 hours because of it. And sorry, Jason, I'll let you get in here in a second.
No, it's fine.
You keep talking about making a move now, and my thought process is a little bit different right now. My thought process is patchwork right field, and Dombrowski should be fixing center field right now, and let those guys that are fixing center field or kind of hanging on center field kind of fill the Bryce Harper role, because you get Bryce Harper back in a month. If you've gone out and found a real center fielder and don't have Odubel or Moniak or Vierling out there every single day, then you're that much better when Bryce Harper's back in 4 weeks or whatever it may be. Because to me, I still say that, yes, starting pitching's an issue. Relief pitching still has some question marks there. But center fielder to me, since day one of the season, has been my number one question mark. And this is your moment to go out, fix center field, which then kind of helps out right field a little bit for now. And then when Bryce is back, you're back to, a pretty elite lineup right there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, apparently from Lauber, it seems like it's going to be more like 2 months. So, can they totally kind of do that for that period of time? It's interesting. A name out there is Ian Happ from the Cubs, who has a year control after this. He's played center field for that team. So if you wanted to do that and then also play him in right field in the time being, if you want to leave Odubel or Vierling out there in center field or Moniak in center field, and then bring Ian Happ in. So, there's definitely options out there. Really, I just don't know who the obvious center field trade candidate is. I think Michael A. Taylor from the Royals is a fine player. Really, whether it's center field, right field, I just want a guy that could do the job, and I don't want it to cost a ton of prospects. I want to go find Soler I think one of those guys was traded for just Pablo Sandoval, who was nothing last year. There's whole idea of, the Braves have these prospects to trade for these players. No, they didn't. They didn't give up anyone. They gave up Pablo Sandoval and some C-level prospects for half season. So it's I want those kind of trades. Benintendi is a guy with the Royals who people are in on, and I love Andrew Benintendi. I would 100% take him. I'm just trying to think if it's the logical thing to do, because it's going to cost you more prospect wise. So I'm more focused on, can I make a Jock Peterson Soler trade where I'm giving up low level prospects or low level major leaguers for immediate upgrades now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I was going to go with this. There's a few guys that were on my radar. I love Cedric Mullins from the Orioles, and I love Brian Reynolds from Pittsburgh. But both of those guys are definitely going to cost high-level prospects. My question to you is, I think we all agree, most Phillies fans that watch and are tuned in and plugged in know that this farm system is not the greatest. If you were in a position of power with the Phillies, how would you fix this moving forward? What is the solution to having such a bad, flawed farm system? Is it actually that we can't draft, or is it more so that we don't develop these players? What are your thoughts on that? And do you have any ideas of how it can get fixed?
Yeah, well, I actually think that, I think they're moving in the right direction. I do believe that they have talent in the low minor leagues. I don't think that like I think Mick Abel, Andrew Painter, Griff McGarry, those kind of guys, I think are going to be difference makers at the pitching side. So, it's been so bad for so long, and I totally understand that's frustrated people, because it's frustrated me, because we all know that to have a good baseball team, you have to be able to bring reinforcements up from the minor leagues to help you out. It just takes a while to like, they screwed up this rebuild so bad. They had no infrastructure in place down there. They kind of threw a bunch of slop together and see if it would kind of fit. But I will say that Brian Barber, their scouting director, has done a good job in the last couple of drafts of getting more high-level talent down there that they just haven't had in years past. Like McGarry, Abel, Painter, O'Hoppe, like Ethan Wilson, the guy I drafted last year that I believe in. It's gotten off to a slow start. But there's talent in the lower levels. It's just like the Reading and AAA is bad. Like AAA is pretty much just like a bunch of ex-major leaguers and like Derek Hall, Double A, Logan O'Hoppe's there, which is great. But, other than that, there's no real interesting pitchers. So like the most of their talent is just down in the minors. So I'll say this, like, I think it's turning in the right direction. I think Barber's done a really good job of finally not looking for high floor guys, trying to get high ceiling guys. I think they have some good coaches down there. So it's tough because I think they're finally starting to get some pieces right now. And you really want to trade them, but also it's your window now. Like it's their window is right now, whether we want to go all in or not. I mean, Harper's 29, Castellanos is 29, JT's 29, Reese is 28, Nola's 28. Like they're all right in that kind of, Wheeler's 30 or whatever. So like they're all in that prime to kind of go for it. So listen, I would love Cedric Mullins. I would love Brian Reynolds, but you have to be comfortable giving up a Mick Abel. You have to be comfortable giving up the guys that are just starting to kind of feed your system now. And that's a tough situation for a general manager to be in. But if you want to lock down center field position for the next 3-4 years, that's the move that you got to make.
I'm a firm believer that prospects are just that, prospects. We don't have that run from 2007 to 2011 without trading all those minor leaguers that did. How many of them really amounted to much at that point?
But at the same time, we don't have that run if you trade away Utley, if you trade away Ryan Howard and choose Jim Thome over him. Like, so it's just the toughest balance in sports.
But all you got to do is bring Ed Wade back, and then Ed Wade can keep,
yeah.
Because that was a conversation for like 3 straight shows a couple of weeks ago. How great and underappreciated Ed Wade was for building that, and then also doing it again in Houston. But if like you say, they're making improvements and they're getting better at drafting and developing these young guys, what harm is getting rid of one of them really going to do? If you're really confident in what the work is being done right now, you can get by giving up just one of them.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting. I've had this kind of point for a little bit now, but when you're thinking about a Logan O'Hoppe, who is, I think he's half a season away from being major league ready, where are you going to play him? Like JT, whether you like it or not, JT's here for the next 3 years. So they finally have enough guys down there that are being blocked at the major league level that he can move on from. So like Logan O'Hoppe's the guy I think is a trade candidate. Rafael Marchand, I mean, people seem to like. I think he's just whatever. Like I think he's a backup catcher. They have some outfielders like Ethan Wilson, the guy 2nd round pick last year. He's a left fielder. We have Schwarber and Castellanos for the next 4 or 5 years, whether you like it or not. So that's a trade candidate. Johan Rojas is a center field prospect who I think has big talent, but I'm not sure he'll ever really fully get there.
He's kind of just come out of nowhere, hasn't he? This past year or so, he
wasn't
on the radar too much before this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's been like, if you like really got into it, he's been like but on the surface, yeah, he's kind of come out of nowhere. It's just his hit tool, I'm not totally sure about long term. So if you want to kind of sell high on him. And then you're right. I mean, they do have those 3 starters, McGarry, Abel, and Painter. And if you want to make a difference making move, Abel or McGarry, I'm not touching Painter. Abel or McGarry, Rojas, Ethan Wilson, Alec Boehm, actually, I would consider moving in a deal. And Logan O'Hoppe, like that should be able to give you some formulation of a high level player in return.
I'm moving unless your plan is to move Rhys Hoskins eventually and put JT at first base, which I don't think you do that. I don't think it's a smart enough move to do that. You kind of have to consider moving O'Hoppe. It's kind of that Tommy Howard situation where he's completely blocked for a long period of time. So I'm using him as the centerpiece to go get a center fielder, another starting pitcher, whatever it may be. We talk Harper nonstop. If there's one other thing that this team needs to fix immediately to get, to help us tread water, to help us continue pushing forward without it, what would be your next biggest flaw? Would be starting pitching? Would be the relievers? Where's your next biggest hole on this team?
I would go starting pitching. I think it's been good so far this year. Like they have a top 10-ish rotation right now, but I just have this feeling it's about to kind of fall apart a little bit, and I don't know, I believe in Billy Falter more than most, but I can't say I trust him. After him, if one of these guys go down, Christopher Sanchez, So Ranger, I don't totally trust. I thought it was a good start against the Padres. That was big, but it seems like it's 3 good starts, 1 bad start, or 2 good starts, 2 bad starts. You can't just get on a roll like you got last year. Eflin, that knee, he had surgery on it last year. It's bothering him again. I don't feel great about that. And then Kyle Gibson, like, again, same thing. Like Ranger and Gibby are kind of in the same boat with me, where it's like 3 good starts, 1 bad start, 2 good starts, 2 bad starts. So, Dombrowski seems to me, I think he's kind of from the Ruben GM trade, where it's like, go get me the starting pitching and we'll figure it out later. He's always kind of been, his Achilles heel has always been building bad bullpens. Like even the Red Sox team that won the World Series, like Chris Sale had to close out the World Series. Nathan Eovaldi was pitching in the postseason. So he's a very big starting pitching guy. The 2014 Tigers team ended up having 5 Cy Young winners on it. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going out and trying to make a move for a Montas, a Luis Castillo, a Tyler Mahle from the Reds.
What would you have? Not sorry to interject. What you mentioned Castillo, because that's a guy I like. What would you have to give up prospect-wise?
Yeah, you would have to give up Ohapi. Like, basically, if you want to, it's basically, do you want to use the Ohapi, Abel, Bohm, whatever, like that, those trade pieces? Do you want to use them for a top-end starter, or do you want to use them for a center fielder? And that's basically what I think they have to decide here. So if you wanted to get Luis Castillo, it's interesting. If you wanted to get another infielder, like you can go Luis Castillo, Brandon Drury, who's having like a ridiculous year for the Reds, and kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But yeah, I would go starting pitching. I love Frankie Montas. I think he's like 99 with a legit splitter, so I think he's fun. And I mean, if you head into a postseason series with Wheeler, Nola, Montas, Castillo, Mahle, I mean, you got something there.
You just replaced two fifths of the starting rotation right now. I love it because I've been pounding the table about the starting pitching since before the season started, since the preseason episodes we were doing on this show, because you know that we've got a 1A and a 1B at the top of the rotation, and I know this is kind of an over extreme way to say it, but we got a 5A, 5B, and 5C at the back end. We don't have a middle of the rotation whatsoever, and I've taken a lot of flack for my criticism of Ranger and Gibson and Eflin, but I was just so glad that you went right to the starting pitching like that, and you might not have gone to the extreme I did, but you've kind of validated my opinion for like the last 3-4 months here. So I'm happy for myself. You know what I mean?
Atta guy, proud of you. No, it's just like, and I like those guys. It's just like, I just have this feeling that I can't trust them all to hold up at this point. And I got 3 question marks on a rotation that's held together so far, but I just don't know how much longer.
If any of them, I would, the only one I would give the leash to is Ranger, because this is really his first year as a starting pitcher. So he's the only one that he's got a question mark, but the answer is unknown. We know what Eflin is, and we know what Gibson is. We don't know about Ranger, and you can't go into a playoff series with Eflin or Gibson as your number 3 starter and expect to, contend in that playoff series. So, which it's crazy that we're talking playoffs. Sorry, Jason.
No, it's okay. I just real quick. Do you think there would be a possibility where you could maybe move Eflin in that deal to get a pitcher? Like, throw a prospect in there and Eflin. Like, does Eflin have any value? Because I'm a guy that still believes that I think around the league that he may have some value. He might be one of those guys that GMs look at as saying, oh, well, he needs a change of scenery, or, I don't know. That was just a thought I had a couple weeks ago, and I was curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he is on the final year of a deal, and then they have a $15 million mutual option next year, and he is getting a little bit older. I don't know. I just don't think. I don't think I wouldn't move on from Eflin at this point. I would rather just bring in a starter and kind of add to him and push everyone else back down a role in the starting rotation. So, but maybe they almost traded him for they made him untouchable in the Manny Machado trade of 2017 or whatever. So
untouchable. We've had too many untouchables that have not worked out here in Philly.
Yes, always. Right, and Don Brown being number one.
Yeah, Don Brown obviously number one. Absolutely. So I've taken up too much of your time already, Jack. If to wrap this up, if they stand pat the Phillies, they don't make a major move, and you went on the DraftKings right now sportsbook or whatever, and you were going to place would you place a bet that the Phillies can pull it out and make the playoffs this season as they are right now?
As they are right now.
Listen, right now constructed. See,
if they don't make a move, I would be borderline shocked. But I right now, no. I mean, I wouldn't, as currently constructed. We'll have to see what they do here. But I've kind of had this feeling, for ever since really kind of Girardi got fired and they went on that little bit of a run. The season reminds me a lot of the 06 team, where when they traded Bobby Abreu, similar to firing Joe Girardi, they were 49-56 when they traded Abreu. They were 8 games under 500 when they fired Girardi, and they went on a run. And you just kind of believed in the foundation a little bit more. And obviously we know what it led to next year, the winning the NL East and all of that. So I kind of have a feeling that even if they miss the playoffs, I have a good feeling about the team going forward than I haven't had really in years past. So it seems like a year that they could get to like 86 wins if they don't make any moves. But I think it's going to take 88 to 90 to really get in.
Well, we greatly appreciate your time this morning, waking up early. Know you're a super busy guy, but, we greatly appreciate your time this morning.
It's all
Jack
good.
Fritz, WIP. Hopefully we can get you back on the morning show another time here in the future. When that next big move happens, when the next shoe drops with the Phillies here, we'll get you back on the morning show here.
Sounds great. I'll talk to you guys soon, okay?
Thanks, Jack.
Yep.
All right, that was Jack Fritz, WIP. Lots of great insight. Lots of great thoughts and opinions. Jason, I know you got to roll in a few minutes here. Instant thoughts and instant reactions from what Jack had to say there.
I mean, I love what he had to say. It actually gives me hope because I really value his opinions and his knowledge of baseball. And I liked what he said about the farm system because that makes me feel better because that's something that I'm always frustrated about.
I've kind of had that thought process for a little while, but I needed somebody of importance to validate that thought process that the farm system is getting better. It's just a matter of, can they keep that progress getting forward? All right, awesome join us here. So we go from Jack Fritz to Dylan Davis. I mean,
I got to follow that.
That's talking here to here.
I got to follow that.
That's like when Bryce Harper goes down and you go sign Mercado. You know what I mean? That's basically what we just did.
Phil, you're lucky I just woke up or I wouldn't be taking this criticism too well.
Dylan's a legend. Dylan, by the way, I loved your show. If you guys haven't watched it, please check out yesterday's edition of Turf Talk with Dylan and Scotty. It was phenomenal. I love the new segment. And
Jason, I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt.
No.
Jason, I thought I had the edge in the fantasy team. And apparently, I haven't checked it this morning, but according to the Twitter poll and the people, I'm losing.
I said that you had the edge.
Yeah, I know.
I look at it by fantasy, and I think Mark Andrews, to me, he's my tight end one in the whole league, and you have him. And I think that's what separates your team. I get it with the defense, but you get more points for offense on fantasy football. So I'm going.
Just I mean, I don't know what the hell happened, but there's only 16 votes on it right now. That's pretty pathetic. But
it's the same as last night then.
Yeah, 56-44. Scotty's winning on the percentages right there. Had to do a quick check right there. I know.
Fellas, I got to roll. Dylan, thank you for jumping in because I actually got to bounce.
Jason, I will see you.
Brother.
I'll talk to you later, Jason. Maybe we'll be seeing you tomorrow morning on the morning show as well.
All right, guys.
Yeah. See ya.
Have a good one.
Just to change subjects for like 3 seconds, Dylan. I voted Scotty on your poll question for one reason. Can you guess the one reason?
Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson.
Joe Burrow over Lamar Jackson. I am
Well,
not.
that was the first overall pick.
If you saw my quarterback rankings, you would know that I'm very high on Joe Burrow and I'm very down on Lamar Jackson as a whole. And I think a quarterback can be that difference on a team.
Well, so am I. It pained me to have to select Lamar Jackson, but Scotty unfortunately had the first pick of the draft and went Joey B because the fan that Scotty is of his. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just fill out the rest of my roster, and I can always come back to QB. Right. What am I going to do? Take Kenny Pickett, Mitch?
Deshaun Watson's still an active quarterback.
Nah. We left him.
Baker Mayfield's still on the Browns.
Yeah, we left him out of the conversation.
All right, let's get back on track here. So I don't know how much of the Jack Fritz interview you caught there.
Yeah, I listened.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great points and all, but I haven't seen you do on a show yet this week since the Harper situation. So instant reaction when you see Harper go down. First off, you think it's his face getting hit again, then you realize it's his hand. You're going to lose Harper for a little while. I mean, I don't know about you, but basically Michael Bourne's reaction was mimicking my reaction when it was happening. And what was your instant reaction when it happened?
Well, you were at a wedding for multiple hours before, so I can imagine how you were. I was in Wildwood, New Jersey at the Inlet while it happened. So I would say Michael Bourne's reaction was a little more PG than everybody else's at the bar. It sucks, man. It's so deflating because you're watching this run that this team's been going on, and obviously not 90. I'm not going to give that much credit, but a lot of it is due to Bryce Harper and what he's been able to do and how steady he's been even, throughout the Joe Girardi thing. And even before Kyle Schwarber got hot and Reese Hoskins started to heat up earlier this month, he was the one consistent player on this team, even throughout battling injury. So to see him go down, and not for 2 weeks, not for probably a month, probably you're talking 8+ weeks right now. It just seems like so much that the rest of these guys are going to have to carry on their shoulders. I agree with you. I think there's a reason they have $200 million plus on the payroll between Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto and so on and so forth that they should be able to. I just think it's going to be a little tougher than, I don't know, than the tone feels right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to have that positivity and that positive feeling. Then yesterday we started talking about, well, we got a spark after the firing of Joe Girardi to Rob Thompson. Obviously that was a spark right there. And then, I'm thinking that, obviously they could have easily lost Saturday and Sunday after Bryce Harper goes down. They can pack their bags and be like, look, we lost our best player. Let's pack it in, till we figure this out. They didn't. It sparked them. I mean, it was a huge comeback on Sunday. Yeah. It was what they were down 5-1, 5-2, something like that. They could have easily said, our bags are packed already. The flight's ready to take off, get us back to the 9-game homestand. And they were able to use that Harper injury almost as a spark to the team again. Can this spark the team like the Joe Girardi firing? Or as Jack Fritz brought up, the trading of Bobby Abreu in 2006 kind of sparked the team a little bit. Can Bryce Harper going down, actually, not for a long period of time, but for a short period of time, spark this team a little bit?
Yeah, that's the key, right? Because I think it can, especially when you look at guys like Nick Castellanos, who's obviously been in a slump. But when you go back to last year, and the reason the Phillies paid him and wanted to bring him in is because he was an MVP candidate. Dude hit for 34, 35 home runs, 100+ RBIs are right around there for the Reds last year, hit over 300. So you see him, and I think a big thing too is Bryce isn't away from the team.
No,
Bryce is here. So you should have that energy. You should see him. You're still able to have that camaraderie and talk to Bryce and want to go out and win for Bryce, who could have possibly been on his way to another MVP, would have been in his first All-Star game in a Phillies uniform had it not been for this injury. So I obviously think so. My question to you brought up the point of short-term versus long-term. My worry is if the first thing goes wrong, like they lose 2-3 games in a row, how can they bounce back? Well, will that energy subside to the first, to the first weak spot of this run post Bryce Harper? That's where the trade deadline really comes in, and that's where the stars on this team come in.
Yeah, it's really tough. Which then, and that question kind of leads into the following question, which we've been discussing as well: is did you make a short-term fix? Like last year, the Braves, they lose Acuna, they make a bunch of small moves throughout the season, keep platooning different guys out there in his spot. Do you do that, or do you roll with what you got? Or like me, I'm using this opportunity to fix center field for the next foreseeable future.
Hey, I'm with you.
And moving Vierling and or Odubel and or Moniak to right field temporarily, so Harper's back, and then you could put Castellanos back where he belongs in the DH spot, which would then help his back get back on track as well.
Correct.
That's the move I'm making. And I know, and Jack Fritz reminded me, like going out and getting this, there aren't many, there's a lot of options for right field. There's not a lot of options for center field. So if you're going to get somebody for center field, you're going to be giving up an O'Hoppe. You're going to be giving up one of those young pitchers. And he brought up Alec Boehm. He would trade Alec Boehm. It's a bold move, but it's one that I would be okay with to fix that center field position for the next 3 to 5 years. And then you have a Schwarber, whoever in center field, Harper, and Castellanos 4-person outfield for your next 4 years. I'm willing to make those moves to get to fix the immediate, but also to fix the big picture long term. But I also see how it worked for the Braves. Braves won a World Series last year, just patchworking it, and making their other stars step up. I still haven't made a final decision on what I think the right course of action is there.
The right course of action is a tough question. I'm with either. I think there's too many people on social media or Phillies fans in general that are just with the latter, and that is patchworking it. Because I listened to the whole interview with Jack, and there were a lot of great points by you guys that everyone's so defeated by this farm system. And trust me, I get it. But no, I'm not sitting here saying to trade Logan O'Hoppe for a 1-year fill-in. Right. If you're talking about a Cedric Mullins, if you're talking about the dude out of Pittsburgh that Jason brought up, and like you just mentioned, 3 to 5 years, this is like, it's the same thing with Philadelphia. With the 76ers, Phil. Like everyone forgets the timeline and how you're kind of in win now mode. There's a reason you have Bryce Harper here in his prime. There's a reason you have Zach Wheeler right now. There's a reason you signed Castellanos and Schwarber. It's to go for anywhere from now to the next 3 to 4 years, right? So
you got that window right now. You're
right. So I'm not trading Logan O'Hoppe.
I didn't realize how many of those guys were right in that 29 to 30-year-old window.
Yes.
I didn't realize how many of them were there.
Yes. And like, I think people get it so twisted that, oh, well, we can't give up anybody in this farm system or anybody worth anything in this farm system because we haven't had anything worth anything in this farm system for so long. And I just think that's the wrong mindset. I'm not saying trade 2 or 3 of them. I'm saying if you can move one of them, because as Jack mentioned, you have better talent, more high ceiling guys in the lower, in the lower stages of the minor league right now. And if you can move an O'Hoppe who's in AA right now, why not? You're not doing it for a stopgap guy. You're doing it for a guy that could be here for 3 to 5 years. And I don't even know if those offers are even on the table. I don't know if Cedric Mullins is available and he'll be here for 3 to 5 years. But if it's possible, you'll freaking do it.
I mean, a lot of people are comparing the Tommy and Howard, Tommy Block and Howard from 06, 05 to JT Block and O'Hoppe. Look, I love O'Hoppe. He's one of our best, highest ranked prospects, level wise, not overall wise, but him being in AA where all the pitchers are still in single A and stuff like that. Look, O'Hoppe isn't Ryan Howard. And JT isn't the same as Jim Thome. Jim Thome was aging. Jim Thome was trending towards a DH.
Right.
And Ryan Howard was hitting 700 home runs a season in AAA. JT Realmuto's 30, 31 years old. He's still a top 3 defensive catcher in baseball. He's struggling right now, I know. But he's still an elite catcher. It's a totally different situation. You're not going to trade JT Realmuto to put O'Hoppe as your starting catcher. So what in 3 years when JT's done, O'Hoppe's going to be you can't leave O'Hoppe down there for 3
exactly.
years.
But people don't realize that, Phil. People want to sit here and act like they can just stash them down there.
No. You can't. This is a prime opportunity to cash in. I mean, who knows? I mean, O'Hoppe 2 years ago wasn't this prime prospect. He's as hot as he's going to be right now. His name's as well recognized as it is right now. You cash that chip in right now. And again, like you said, not for a rental, not for just the rest of the season. But if you can get somebody that's even got 2 years of commitment to the Phillies, you cash that chip in right now because you're in your winning window right now. Right now.
I know I'm 100% with you. People mind boggle me, dude. This city specifically, I love my fellow Philadelphia fans. I really do. but they're a pain sometimes because they want the best of both worlds. They're going to beg for a championship. People are going to get moved at the deadline. If the Phillies don't, they're going to see a deal that was made. Well, why didn't the Phillies do that? Why didn't Dombrowski offer that?
Every trade, yeah.
But then they don't want to give up anything to get somebody. And like you're
It's
going
the
to
same thing
have,
with
if
the
you
Sixers.
want to say, if Cedric Mullins gets moved, you would have had to give up, but you might have to give up more. I don't know what his value is around the MLB, but people, if the Phillies don't get him, why didn't they go do that? He would be perfect here. He'd be here the next 35 years. Oh no, I want to give up Ohapi though. It's crazy.
Same thing with basketball. It's the same thing with football. Every free agent that signed this offseason and didn't sign with the Eagles, it was like, well, why didn't the Eagles give him that deal?
100%.
Salary cap. Every deal that's gone down so far around the draft or last year, why didn't the Sixers trade for him? And why didn't the Sixers trade for this guy? And I got into an argument yesterday with somebody on Twitter, and I think it was a burner account or a troll account because you could just tell by their profile and all. It wasn't,
right.
But I picked yesterday to plant my seed. He wanted the Sixers to do a sign and trade straight up for Tobias Harris for PJ Tucker. That was it. Because PJ Tucker's a 10 times better basketball player than Tobias Harris.
Oh, he is?
He can score the 18. I'm like, but you're going to lose 18 points a game. He's like, no, you're not with PJ Tucker.
Listen,
I'm like, come on, guys.
Listen.
I mean, like, every move out there cannot be done by the Philadelphia team.
No.
Every team out there wants those players.
And listen, you're talking to a guy who really wants PJ Tucker. I think the Sixers are going to get him. You're talking to a guy who doesn't believe that Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker can be on the same team unless PJ Tucker is playing a limited role off the bench behind and replacing Tobias Harris because they cannot be on the floor together at the same time.
Agreed.
So I'm in the stance of you got to shake it up, bring in PJ Tucker. I'm okay with moving Toby. That does not mean PJ Tucker 1-for-1 is an upgrade over Tobias Harris or is in any means a better basketball player than Tobias Harris. It's a better fit. It's what you need. And then Tobias Harris will bring in more to add next to a PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
It's painful, dude. Well, it's the same thing with the Jeremy Grant thing. Like Portland traded a 2025 first round pick and people were like, why don't the Sixers do that? Because they don't have the money. Like they can't do that. It wasn't physically possible.
You can't have 5 max player deals on your team. You just can't.
Come on, guys, be better.
Be smarter than that for sure. All right, backtrack to the Phillies here. Somehow we got to the Sixers, Aaron. Dude, I don't even know. Look, we got actually a really tough stretch here in the next 3 series. We got the Braves starting tonight, and then we got 2 of the next 3 series against the Cardinals, who quietly are having a really good season. We talk about Bryce Harper having an MVP caliber season. When I started doing research a couple of days ago, Paul Goldschmidt, man, is got to be in the MVP conversation.
I don't even know how old he is, but he feels like he's 62 years old.
Yeah, I feel like I've been watching him since I was in college, and that was I graduated in 2001, and I think that's when Paul Goldschmidt's rookie year was. I mean, he's got like 18, 19 home runs, 60, 70 RBIs. He's hitting close to 320, 330. I mean, the Cardinals are quietly having a great season this year. So that question about the spark, the injury to Harper sparking this team, I mean, we're going to find out pretty much right away tonight when they go up against the Braves. Luckily, all 9 games are at home, the next 9 games. You know, we have the Nationals mixed in there, which we should be able to take care of. You lose your best player in Bryce Harper. You would normally say your next 9 games, home or away, whatever. You know, if you tread water, you go 5-4 or 4-5, that would be acceptable. But I don't want to find that acceptable because of the $200 million that is still active and on this roster. I want to see that spark of Harper going down, turn Nick Castellanos around, turn some of these guys around, JT stepping up. You know, that's what I want to see. And I want to come out of this 9-game stretch at least 6-3 because that's what a $200 million roster is going to do at this point. I mean, big picture before we start, like with tonight's game specifically, what would your expectations be, and what do you want to see over the next 9-10 games, whatever it may be?
Look, I think if they do go 5-4, I'm generally okay with it. Like when you look at the level of competition, when you look at these both of these teams are the 2 teams ahead of you, besides the Giants, and they are the final 2 wild card teams that you're chasing right now. So you come away with a winning record against those 2 teams. I'm happy. But like you said, the true test is how well can you play against them? Where if you go 5-4, is every game or is 5 to 6 games super competitive? And, you know, you can really tell that you can compete with these postseason capable teams without Bryce Harper, then I'm in. But I think 6-3 is probably the goal. To say anything like 7-2, that's ridiculous. I think 5-4 is okay. 6-3 is right in that sweet spot where okay, they took care of business, and that would be included in the Nationals, correct? So yeah, I'll just lump it together with the Braves and Cardinals.
Okay, so that's 16.
4-2.
Okay.
That
would be fantastic. I mean, I haven't really looked too much at the St. Louis series too much, but I'm looking at the Braves series, and we got Wheeler going against
tonight.
And obviously Wheeler's our best pitcher, but Morton's trending in the right direction. Charlie Morton's been a good pitcher for the last 3 to 5 years in baseball. But this year he's got I'm pulling him up right now. He's got a 4.84 ERA on the season. But if you look at his last 5 starts, he's gone 2 runs, 0, 4, 4, 4. Actually, what did I see? I mean, I guess 2.044 is actually an improvement for him, because at the end of the month of May, he had a 5.47 ERA. So he's been able to low it almost, 0.6, 0.7. So he's trending in the right direction, which is kind of scary. But again, we should be able to beat Charlie Morton with Zach Wheeler on the mound. And then the other 2 pitchers they got going in this series, Wright and Anderson, are trending in the completely opposite direction. They're both really good pitchers, but if you look at their last 3 to 5 starts, they're trending pretty poorly.
Right.
So if you're just looking at the starting pitching part of it, Wheeler should be able to outduel outduel him tonight, and then we should be able to win, or at least be competitive in the other 2 games. So, is there a scenario where they go 2-1? Is there a scenario where they go 3-0 against the Braves this week?
I think 2-1 is huge this upcoming week, right? So you look at the start tonight with Wheeler. This is the one, like, you just feel like you have to win this one. Like, you have to win, right? Tomorrow night's game, the one that scares me, with Ranger on the mound, because he is listen, I know we talk about Aaron Nola a lot on these shows and how up and down he is and how inconsistent he is. He's been red hot as of late. So if that can continue, that's everything. But Ranger Suarez is the most up and down pitcher in the middle of this Phillies rotation right now. And he just came off a great start in Texas. And you have to see if he can duplicate that tomorrow night. That's a key game to me, because I think if you can win tonight, you can somehow you can win the Nola one. So if the Suarez game is so big to me, because that's the possible sweep game to me, even though it's the second of the 3.
Well, I'm looking at Kyle right here in his last 2. I mean, he's got a 3.18 ERA on the season. But when I say trending in the wrong direction, in his last 11 innings over his last 2 starts, he's given up 9 runs and 21 hits.
That's what we like to hear.
That's what you want. And you talk about getting Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, these guys get their offense turned around. Some of the other guys, the Bohms, the Hoskins, turned around. A guy that's given up 21 hits in his last 11 innings, it's the kind of guy you want to face.
Right.
You don't want him to settle back down and get back into a groove. You want to take advantage of that guy.
To me, I know we're talking a lot about the 3 starters this series, and don't get me wrong, the starting pitching is going to be everything and without Bryce Harper. But the bats are still more important in my mind, because I get it. You're missing that cog. You're missing your 3-hole hitter. You're missing one of the hottest hitters in all the major leagues right now. You still have so much talent in this lineup that there's no reason to put up those numbers you did in the 6 games without Bryce earlier in the year, the 9 games without Bryce earlier in the year, where you were shut out 3 times and lost, you went 3-6 or whatever the record was without him earlier in the year. The 2 guys you keep mentioning are the 2 big ones, right? To me, it's Castellanos more than anyone, but I think something else that has to continue. And listen, to expect the clip that he's playing at right now to continue is a little crazy. Like, he's on a tear like no other. To expect him to hit home run after home run, double after double is ridiculous. But Kyle Schwarber staying hot is everything too. Maybe not as scorching hot as he is right now, but Kyle Schwarber staying hot in this leadoff role right now is everything. And then I think Castellanos is that next peg, that next pillar right there that has to heat up, because if he can, not carry the Reds, because not like the Reds were going to win anything last year, but if he can keep the Reds afloat and had the Reds winning ball games in the middle of the summer last year by himself with that lineup, you would have to expect Nick Castellanos can help carry a Phillies team with Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto and Rhys Hoskins and so on and so forth down this lineup to wins without Bryce Harper.
So I'm looking at Sunday's game here, the 8-5 win against the Padres, and I know Stubbs started over JT Realmuto, but I'm looking how Rob Thompson wrote his first no Bryce Harper lineup, and I know if you put JT in there over Stubbs, it changes it a little bit. But I think this is the opportunity. Bumping Castellanos up to the 3-hole. He put Didi in the cleanup. So I think he really needs to get creative with his lineups. You're going to leave Schwarber as long as he's hot still in that leadoff spot. But this might be an opportunity to bump Rhys Hoskins out of the 2-hole maybe. You don't want Didi in your 4. I mean, if Stubbs doesn't play and JT does, he probably puts JT in the cleanup spot and then bumps Didi down to the 5-hole.
Which I hate.
Which I hate too. Is this a scenario? Maybe you move Rhys out of that 2-hole. Bohm had a really good run in the 2-hole earlier this year. Put Bohm back up in the 2-hole. Then you could maybe put Hoskins in the 4 or 5-hole. I'm just trying to think, and I'm staring at this, and I'm trying to come. Losing Bryce Harper from the lineup is making Rob Thompson's job just writing a lineup extremely difficult, honestly, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna put Herrera or Moniak in center field, Stott and Burling. They're your bottom 3. But the rest of that lineup, I don't know if you have an idea on how to write this lineup, but honestly, it's super difficult without Bryce Harper in there in that 3-hole.
I like both too, as you mentioned. Earlier, I think he found some success with that.
And then they pulled him.
My initial thought process went to JT in the 2-hole and Rhys in the 4-hole. Yeah, Schwarber, JT, Castellanos, Rhys. And then you kind of have to go from there because I get it. Bryce is the 3-hole hitter, and it shouldn't mix so much up. But then you got to think now either Didi's your 5-hole hitter or Bohm, instead of being 7, is 5 or stuff. So to me, after that, I would maybe go Bohm 5, Didi 6.
And then the other 3.
Herrera, Stott, Vierling, whatever you have to do, it changes a lot. It does really. It makes Rob Thompson's life a lot more difficult without Bryce. But I do think it is important to try to find something like he did post Joe Girardi, find that consistent lineup that can be productive out there. I think that is important.
It's going to be 4 to 8 weeks if this is your lineup. You know what I mean? I'm actually going to leave Castellanos in the cleanup spot at 4. The more I think about it, I'm probably going Schwarber in the leadoff spot, Bowman 2. I'm probably putting JT 3, and then Castellanos, Hoskins 4, 5.
And might balance it out a little bit better.
Yeah, then you got Didi at in the 6-hole, and then you've got your Stott, Herrera, Vierling in any order 7, 8, 9, however you want to do it. But and I don't know if JT's ever hit in the 3-hole, but if you get it in the 2-hole,
he's had
the 5-hole, the 3-hole. He's a contact hitter. Nick Castellanos, I'm either leaving him in the cleanup spot or till he gets out of his slump, I'm actually bumping him down. So now without Harper, you can't bump him down. So maybe that would be maybe Schwarber, Bone, JT, Castellanos, Hoskins. That might be until a real move's made, not whatever that guy's name is that they brought in, yesterday.
Oh, Mercado,
whatever.
He'll be playing within the next 2 or 3 days too anyway, right?
Exactly. Dude, I know he's a defensive outfielder. He doesn't hit great. But then somebody, I forget who it was, maybe David Esser or one of the baseball podcasters out there, put some analytic stats out there that this season he's actually a negative defensive outfielder. And his offense is even worse. There's a reason why the Indians, not the Indians, sorry.
Guardians.
The Guardians, sorry. Hey, whatever. I called the San Diego Chargers the other day. I still haven't gotten over that. There's a reason why the Guardians cut him and put him on waivers because he's not very good. So he's actually worse than normal. So yeah, that was just a move for move's sake almost to an extent.
Listen,
yeah, I hope I don't see him in the starting line. I'd rather have Odubel lineup.
Yeah, dude. So listen, I understand it's painful to watch this Phillies team play defense at times, especially over the last couple of years and at times this year as well. And I get it. There's nothing worse than a boneheaded play in the outfield or a misread ball and it scores an extra run. I get it, right? Mm-hmm. More than anything, I can't stand someone that's worthless at the plate. Like you can have all your defensive responsibilities out there in center field. I don't care if you can't make contact. If you go 0 for 5, 0 for 4 with a walk I can't do it, dude. It's like I have to watch Matisse Thybulle on a baseball field. I cannot do it.
Oh man.
Yeah, to
So,
get
all right, tonight, Wheeler. Do we get the win tonight?
Absolutely, especially because I'll be in the building. So
Oh, that's right. I did see that. You dropped the bag to get some.
nah, they weren't that dude. First of all,
Yeah.
I hope you guys can see me on TV. I'm trying to catch myself a
So
foul ball.
what side of where are those seats?
First section 110, row 1.
Yeah. So is that behind the dugout or next to the dugout or
To the little I think it's kind of from the map. It looks like by the ball girl almost, but not sure.
are you taking your girl or somebody else?
Yeah. It's her birthday.
So you're not talking to the ball girl.
No.
Hopefully she's not watching. I'm just joking.
No, I just might be like, can I get a foul ball? Can I get a foul ball?
Yeah. Dude, I'm obviously 41 years old. I've been to literally like 300 baseball games in my life. I have never caught a foul ball. Not once.
Me neither.
And I got a funny story on that. So back at the vet, friend of my parents, they had 2 sets of season tickets. They had the box at the old school vet. They were like fenced off boxes down along there.
Mhm.
Like they had like little sections of seats that had fences around them. You bought the box. They had the one right next to the third base ball girl. And they also had the old school luxury boxes at the top of the vet.
Right.
They had one of those. So one Phillies Sunday game, they take their whole family and my whole family to the Phillies game. And because they had 2 different sections there. So like we were rotating every 3 innings down there, every 3 innings up in the air conditioning, whatnot. So I spent the first 3 innings down by that ball girl, not one ball. I get up to the luxury box.
Yeah.
The first foul ball lands to my friends who were now in that box, and they get the ball. And then as we're passing the elevator switch again, they show me the ball. I'm like, what the hell? I've been to all these Phillies games. The 3 innings I stay away from that seat is when the foul ball goes. So yeah,
That's
I can't get your foul ball, man.
That's tough. I don't think I've ever even really been close to one.
Really close to a home run, a Ryan Howard home run. Really close.
Never been out there for like when I sat row 1 in right field earlier in the year. I think everything was hit to left field. like nothing came my way. The only cool story I have, it's not even me. It was when I was younger. My dad went to a Flyers playoff game, and Keith Primo, it either got deflected or whatever. He called a Keith Primo puck that got deflected out of play. So I mean,
in 07, I had outfield season tickets, and like one of those 18 game plans, and we were in like the 3rd row of section like 103, like 2 off the foul pole.
Right.
Extra inning game against the Marlins, and Ryan Howard hit a walk-off home run, and it hits off the advertisement that's right above. Hits off of it, and I'm literally, you could see, because you can't see me, but my boy that I was with had a bright blue, powder blue jersey on, so you could see him in the replay standing, and you see us both go like this, watch the ball hit off the facade, and come right past us, and land like 1 seat next to us, because it was a late game. It worked all day. We go to this game. It's a late extra inning game, and we're just both so tired. We basically just watch the ball bounce right past.
Yeah, no interest in it. I'm kind of nervous, bro. Like I've never been this close, so I have no idea.
Are you bringing a glove?
No, I'm not that. Come on, dude. I'm not that person.
That's a violation. You're a grown man. You don't need a glove.
No, absolutely not.
And once you pass about the 14-year-old age, dude, just stick your hand.
Are you an autograph man or no?
No, I'm not a collectible. I don't collect things. When I was a kid, I got stood up for an autograph by Lenny Dykstra. So he basically told 13-year-old Phil, if you don't have $50, you're not getting this autograph. So I've never really been a collectible person. I've never really even been a bother anybody. I just don't bother people for that stuff. Real quick, before we wrap this show up, we only got like 2 minutes left, and I got to run to work. But I saw something. This is called Trending in the AM. So I always check all the different things that are happening. And I just saw something on ESPN.com literally 3 minutes before the show. I haven't even had time to read the article. Adrian Peterson is fighting Le'Veon Bell in a celebrity boxing match.
Yeah.
Who wins? And what 2 athletes do you want to see in a celebrity boxing match? It's easy for me. It's T.O. versus Donovan.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Choice. But Le'Veon Bell versus Adrian Peterson. Who do you got?
I'm taking all day AP.
Absolutely.
I know in these celebrity boxing match, I'm calling my shot KO. It doesn't happen often in these celebrity boxing matches, but I got to go with it. And then besides those, that was the first one specifically in Philadelphia that comes to my mind. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'd like to see that.
And Ben Simmons versus all his different girlfriends all at the same time.
Yeah.
3-on-1
Well,
handicap.
his ex is through another one. Her and
Yeah.
Devin Booker are gone.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we'll see where she goes next.
I don't even know why you'd want to date her. Other
She's
than
a free agent too, bro. Free agency starts in a couple days.
That's crazy. I see a lot with Ocho Cinco. I would like to see Ocho Cinco strap the gloves on. I don't know against
With
who.
who?
I don't know. He keeps talking a lot about different things right now. And
I know.
he's the new biggest Philly sports fan in the world out of nowhere. He's been in Philly a lot lately. I just think Ocho Cinco would make an maybe even Ocho Cinco versus T.O. I know there's a size disparity there, but,
Yeah.
I'd like to see him get into the ring because I think he could put on an entertaining fight. But you're right. All day, AP.
Yeah, come
is
on.
going to destroy Le'Veon Bell.
Who
sure.
just fought in the last? Frank Gore and someone fought.
Or fought. Is he the one that fought Darren Williams, the basketball player?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know who won.
I watched it and I forget. That's how unnoteworthy that fight was.
Oh man! All right, we're gonna wrap it up here, trending in the AM. A special thank you to Jack Fritz for jumping on for the first 20-25 minutes of the show, talking Phillies. Thank you, Dylan, for jumping on for the second half of the show. I'm glad to have you on again. And shout out to Jason and happy birthday to baby Cole. You
Happy
are no
birthday,
longer,
intern Cole.
Yeah, no longer a teenager. What is the world coming to?
No,
Right,
but he's still a baby.
Yeah, he's still a baby. He's still a baby to DSM. Everybody have a great day, and let's ring the bell and beat those Braves tonight. Thanks a lot.